Good afternoon, class. Hello, and welcome back. So this is part 2. So I'm wearing my Jazz stuff. Jazz has been doing really well lately. Warriors have been doing well too, so I'm not knocking the Warriors. But yeah, so we're back for part 2. As we remember before, went over kind of the history of some of the, it's kind of what we're talking about when it comes to tribes by region in Africa. The difference between what a tribe is and what ethnicity is, and then of course we also went over, we covered the northern region to a small degree, but we covered a couple of tribes, or 3 tribes there. So now we are going to move on to discussing more tribes. So let's get started. Sound good? Sounds good. Alright, so we covered the north, so now we're going to move to the west. So Western Africa and the tribes therein. Okay, so the West. Accepting that definition of the North, it means that West Africa compromises the Atlantic coastal countries, heading south from Mauritania and turning west through Nigeria and the Cameroons into the equatorial forest region. There are several tribes throughout the West, including Yoruba, which I don't have a picture right yet. There is the Yoruba tribe. And there we go. There's some dancing women in the Yoruba tribe. That's what it says right there. Is dancing Yoruba women in Nigeria. So the Yoruba, living almost exclusively in Nigeria's southwest, number over 40 million people. So are comfortably the largest tribe in the whole of West Africa. The huge conurbation of Lagos. You know what? Second time yesterday they used the word too, and I didn't look it up. Conurbation. It's Conurbation. Conurbation. But now I need to know what it is. Conurbation. So a conurbation is an extended urban area typically consisting of several towns merging with the suburbs of one or more cities. So the major conurbations of London and Birmingham. Anyway, so right. So conurbation, yeah, it's basically just kind of a spread of a bunch of areas that all kind of tie together or are close to each other. So the huge conurbation of Lagos is primarily Yoruba, with the people still recognizable as from a specific tribe simply on language. However, although other towns exist in the wider Yoruba region, many still live a traditional rural subsistence life. We went over what subsistence is. So, again, if you have any questions about subsistence, feel free to ask. Oh, that didn't go very well. Did it? All right, now the Ashanti tribe. There we go. There's Ashanti. Numbering around 9 million compared to 40 million. Kind of small. The Ashanti of Ghana have their own language, although the colonial language English is understood in cities. So their religion involves the supernatural. And spiritual, with ancestors very important in family life. Those aspects are more evident in rural areas from Ghana's capital, Accra. Now, Accra is really a pretty cool place. Lots of coffee, chocolate there in Accra, and it's got one of the major, like if you look, I don't have a map of Africa, but if you find Accra, if you look, you'll see that there's a major freshwater source there. I mean, it's right off the ocean, but there's a major freshwater source, which is really good for vegetation and things like that. And then the final tribe that they're going to go over in the west is Mbenga. So these are some Mbenga. The best known of Pygmy ethnic group are the Mbenga, who are found in the West Congo Basin. There are a dozen different Pygmy groups within the Mbenga, one that speaks Bantu and Ubangian. They are hunter-gatherers, largely dependent on what the forest can provide. They trade with neighbors for other things they need. Accurate numbers are difficult to ascertain, but educated guesses suggest around 500,000 live in the Congo rainforest. Interesting. So hunters, gatherers, and traders. Traders, not traitors. Traders. Okay, and then in the east. So we have covered the north, covered the west. West. Now we're moving over to the east. So the east. The beginnings of the Rift Valley start in Ethiopia, heading south through Kenya and Tanzania. Or Tanzania, if you want to be... Don't say that, it's Tanzania. Uganda, Rwanda, and Burundi are landlocked, but very much part of the east. The east is rich in wildlife. The vast plains are home to huge herds and predators who follow wherever they go. Scary. The tribes in the east are one that has been regularly seen on film, living as their forefathers did, though often now conservationists rather than seeking out prey. So conservationists is people who conserve the land and leave it as it is and not try to, they still subsist off the land, but don't hunt as much to keep numbers largely in healthy populations for animal and plant life. Okay, so the first tribe is the Hamer tribe. Right, so you're going to see somebody's booty. But here's the Hamer tribe. So the Omo Valley of Ethiopia is a fascinating place. The Hamer is a tribe living in this fertile valley, where their main activity is tending to their cattle, and also for the controversial bull jumping ceremony. But Ethiopia is attracting increasing traveler numbers, and among many of its attractions are the tribes in this southern valley. Bull jumping. Well, it does look like that dude. Looks like he's looking at that bull. Maybe he just try to jump over. I don't know bull jumping. That's a research project for y'all. Okay, now the next tribe is the Maasai. And see some guy with traditional headdress, obviously somebody visiting, and then a member of the Maasai. Perhaps the most famous in East Africa is the Maasai tribe. The tribe still tend to their cattle with a mix of milk and cow's blood central to their diet. The majority live in Kenya, and their homes close to many of the famous East African game parks have meant they have had significant contact with overseas tourists. Part of the Nilotic ethnic group, they speak Ma, M-A-A, so it's Maasai. They speak Ma, which is a language group known as the Nilo-Saharan, and their numbers are increasing to approaching 900,000, so they don't even have 1 million people, but they are one of the most famous tribes to visit. Alright, and so the last tribe on the east of Africa, in East Africa, that they're going to talk about is Hadzabe. And you can see this guy is doing some hunting. Got his bow, his arrow. And there's also huts you can see. So the Hadzabe of Tanzania are the last true nomads, wander from place to place. Hunter-gatherers of East Africa. They hunt with bow and arrow, while the women folk search out edible berries and fruits. Tourists with a spirit of adventure can travel with them, although there are not many creature comforts for those who do. So be ready to rough it if that's something you want to do. As a cultural experience, it has few equals in this part of Africa. There are fewer than 1,000 in the tribe who are related genetically to pygmies, rather than the Kojien, as was traditionally believed. Another tribe worth mentioning here is the Datoga tribe, known for weapon-making skills, that they actually supply the arrowheads used by the Hadzabe for hunting. Good to know. Again, so they're nomads, they go from place to place, but they also do trade. And finally, South Africa. So Angola on the Atlantic coast and Mozambique on the Indian Ocean were both Portuguese colonies. The British were dominant in what are now Zambia, Malawi, and Zimbabwe, while Namibia and South Africa have always been regarded as more developed than any of their neighbors. In many ways, Botswana is a jewel, with democracy established, wildlife, and mineral resources. Okay, San is the first tribe that we're going to study here. And so here's the San tribe in Botswana. These two folks here. So commonly known as the Bushmen of the Kalahari, the San have developed skills to hunt and survive in a seemingly completely barren desert land. That's impressive. Their tracking skills are renowned, and their success with bow and poisoned arrows is very impressive. So don't make anybody mad if you go. They find water in underground tubers and gather whatever fruit and berries are in season. They are found across southern Africa in countries like Botswana, Angola, and Zimbabwe. And there are significant linguistic differences across their wide territory, but survivor skills are common to all. So they might speak different languages, but there's always a commonality. And for them, it's hunting. It's something that you don't really need to talk about. It's something you can just show somebody. You know, sometimes the less said, the more. Next tribe is the Zulu, down here in South Africa. Let's see. Come on, paper. Come on, part. Thanks, buddy. So the Zulus number around 10 million today, so pretty big, and they have been a powerful warrior tribe, with Shaka's kingdom in the early 19th century a mighty force. Their language is one of South Africa's official languages, and their home is KwaZulu-Natal on Africa's Indian Ocean coast. All right, and then the Himba, the last tribe we'll study in South Africa. So this small tribe living in northern Namibia and into Angola numbers around 50,000. Life is semi-nomadic, with people moving in search of grazing for their livestock. Their language is classified as part of the Bantu family, with the Niger-Congo group more common further north. They have similarities, but, you know, even 50,000, I mean, that's not a huge tribe, but they're definitely their own. So, in summary, and then, it will be over. But this has been a very interesting. Thank you for who suggested this. So human life is thought to have begun in Africa. The Olduvai Gorge in the eastern Serengeti in modern-day Tanzania. Human fossils were found there that are millions of years old. Over many centuries, there has been a significant movement of people restricted only by natural barriers, such as the dense equatorial forests. Deserts may not be an attractive proposition, but they have been able to sustain life. And deserts aren't the easiest, but that is impressive. In practical terms, these days, climate and terrain dictate the lives of rural Africans. Travelers whose interests revolve around the fabulous wildlife on Africa's plains will come into contact with tribes who were once hunters, but no more. Again, living with the land and trying to make sure, they're conservationists. The people of the North all face similar issues of surviving in a harsh, often extremely dry environment. The equatorial forests on the Congo still hold secrets simply because they are largely impenetrable. Life has never really changed in the centuries, but as a location for overseas visitors. Only researchers and documentary filmmakers are likely to go there. So that has been Meeting the Tribes in Africa by Region. So now you know a little bit more about the Northern Africa, Eastern, Western Africa, and of course South Africa, but more the tribes. Not so much. There are other people, of course, that live in Africa, but this we went over the tribes and what that entails. So I hope you've enjoyed this. And yeah, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Look up the bull jumping thing if you can. Let me know what it is if I don't look it up very soon. But anyway, you'll have a fabulous day, and I will see you later on.